a question or can I make a question?
You make one.
When we go around, say your name, just so we can hammer down the names, and say really quick your rows of the week, just your rows, no thorn or bud, just rows. Yeah.
Okay. First is Claire.
Oh, here, my name's Claire. My rose of the week is, I would say, I took a nap this morning and it was great, so that's my rose.
This is me. Hi, hello. I'm Silani. If y'all forgot over the summer, that's fine. Forgot a lot of things. My rose is surviving in like 5 hours? Yes, 5 hours worth of 6, 7 hours worth of classes. Yes. Okay, Nash.
My rose is ink.
Allison.
Hi, I'm Allison. You're just gonna walk straight through and you'll see Swig. And you come in the same way. You come in the same way. I actually can't think of it.
Do you like your name plaque?
We have to be careful.
Okay.
Frank.
Hi, my name is Frank. I think my rose is I got boba with some buddies 2 days ago. That's also this
Tara.
My rose today was having one class.
Jonathan.
My rose today, or this week, was being able to submit my homework right on time yesterday.
Herb.
My rose of the week is I'm probably buying a rat.
Julissa.
Hi, I'm Jalissa, and my rose of the week was that I got into cycling.
James.
James, my rose is I'm about to get a new bike, so I don't walk around everywhere anymore. So
James is Carolyn's proxy for the quarter.
yes.
So be nice to him so that he comes back in the winter and officially joins.
Gabby.
My rose for the week is that my favorite month started this week, and I had dinner with my friends last night at the cookout.
Anika. I don't think she's here. Iman.
My rose is I locked in all of my writers for letters of regret.
Carmen.
Hi, I'm Carmen. My rose of the week is I left my skateboard here over the summer and I thought I would fall on my face once I got back on it, but I haven't yet, so that's good.
Liv.
I'm Liv, and my rose is that I'm staying next to Keystone.
Tay. Rebuttal.
I'm Tay, he's Keystone. His rose of the week is getting his own name plaque, and mine is getting into psych.
Arne.
Hi, I'm Arnie. My rose is we bought a couch this week.
Grace.
Hi, I'm Grace, and my rose is I got like really good sleep last night.
Ambika.
Hi, I'm Ambika. My rose is, I went for coffee with a friend that I literally just met yesterday, and then we got coffee today, and now we're like besties. So.
Hi, I'm Charlie. My rose is that someone at my house got like an inflatable pool. We had a pool party this past weekend. It was awesome.
Lastly, but not least, Mercedes.
Hi, I'm Mercedes, and my dad is visiting on Friday.
The time is 7:37 and I just took roll call. A quorum is present.
Alright, now we'll move on to our invocation. Miss Amy. Can I have someone on this side of the room read the invocation, please?
May we, the student senate, have the wisdom, patience, and guidance to be responsible representatives. May we be fair in judgments, enlightened in our discussions, and ethical in our actions. Can I get a go Broncos?
Go Broncos!
We'll work on it.
And someone on this side of the table to read the acknowledgement.
We pause to acknowledge that Santa Clara University sits on the land of the Ohlone and Muwekma Ohlone people, who trace their ancestry through the Mission Dolores, Santa Clara, and San Jose. We remember their connection to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland. Let us take a moment of silence to pay respect to their elders and to all Ohlone people of the past and present.
Okay, you may be seated. Moving on to the approval of the previous minutes.
Motion to approve the previous minutes.
Second. Motion from Tara, second from Allison. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Previous minutes have been approved. Public comment, I don't believe we have any public comment. Approval of today's agenda.
Motion to amend the agenda.
Guys, don't be scared.
Oh, second, sorry.
Motion from Herb, second from Iman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, what are we amending? Yeah.
Election committee, confirmation.
Okay, great. Here's Bailey. Bailey, do we approve this amended agenda now?
Yeah, probably good, yeah.
Okay.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion from Jonathan to approve the amended agenda. Second from Herb. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Agenda has been approved. Old business, we don't have any old business. New business. Okay, so first, the guest speaker. So round of applause.
Hi everyone, my name is Divya Bheda. I'm the Director for Educational Assessment here at Santa Clara. I joined in January of this year, so about 8-9 months new to my role. I wanted to share a little bit about me as a person and then share about the work that we do on campus and how it relates to you. So I'm originally from India, born and raised there, did my undergrad there, was president of the student union there, did my graduate degree there in communication and psychology, and then came here to the US, worked for a few years as a public relations event management consultant, came here to the US, did a second degree in educational leadership. I was very privileged, I studied at the University of Oregon, and I was very privileged to have benefited from the student activism that folks engaged in before my time, where they changed the whole curriculum in my college, which is the College of Education, to be very, very social justice oriented, because they said you're producing teachers who don't serve our students of color in the community, and so the curriculum needs to change, and so there was a lot of change there. So I did my PhD in critical and social cultural studies in education, and I was the beneficiary of, and because of my degree, I was able to evolve my identity from being an international student to being a woman of color, because a lot of my lived experiences on campus were very othering, and I couldn't make sense of it. And so then that led to all of the work. So my focus, my dissertation was around how do institutions better serve the communities that they are meant to serve. And then I went to UT Austin, I worked in the provost office there, did a lot of evaluation of student success programs that, to help students graduate, all the supports that were in place. Went to an online institution, worked there, went to an EdTech organization, worked there, and then made my way here. And part of the reason why I joined here was the values of the institution, the kind of work that we can do. So that's like, I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old who are waiting for me when I get, to get back to put them to bed. That's just a little bit about me. I have a team of one where we are hiring for another person. And so that person who couldn't be here because he's in class, actually in a graduate class, is Kyle Amore. So he does a lot of student support assessment. So any of the student programs, including working with TED, is something that he does. As a portfolio, what assessment is on this campus is every institution in the US has to be accredited by a regional accrediting body, right? In the past, it used to be that you were regionally, like so the western region, the southern region, so every school in the southern states in America would be SACS COC accredited. Every student in the west, like we would be WASC accredited. That has changed where any institution from any part of the country and international institutions can get approved and accredited by anyone else. But what that accreditation means is that there's a whole bunch of standards that the institution has to respond on, usually once every 10 years. So the last time that we were accredited was in 2020, where the folks came, and the next time that we will be is 2030. We have to submit a report, and it's about, and our role is to say, are students learning? Are we able to show mission alignment? Are we financially solvent? All of that, right? And so Dr. Ed Ryan is who I report up to, and so he kind of oversees that whole process. But our office, what we do is we work with every degree program. So every degree, major, degree that you all get, each program has to annually show that they are engaging in student assessment, student learning outcomes assessment. So every program, if you look on our website, thank you. If you look on our website, you can see that every program, if you go into program learning outcomes to the second tab, you can see that every program articulates, these are the outcomes that our students who graduate from our program need to be able to do or demonstrate, right? And so we take student artifacts, we ask programs to look at that and say, it's not just based on grade, it's based on specific learning outcomes. Are you able to show that your students are demonstrating this? Where is opportunity for improvement? So we're all about continuous improvement, right? But in addition to this, some of the work that we're doing that would be relevant for you this year to know about is there are multiple programs offering exit surveys to all of you as you graduate, how many of you are graduating this year? Okay, so there are multiple versions of exit programs, exit surveys that come up for students. Some of them are mandated by professional accreditation bodies, like in the School of Business, it's ASCSB, in engineering, it's ABET, right, in the law school. So there are different rules and expectations. We're trying to collate all of that and have an exit survey that has a skip logic so that we ask the same set of questions, and we're able to ask questions that have use validity. And what I mean by use validity is a lot of times we're asking questions, and then it's like, oh yes, the university feels good, but then what do we do with that data? So we're trying to make sure we ask some of that. So we are looking, what I'm here for is to let you know what we're doing, and then also ask for support around, we want your eyes on it too, to be able to say, are these the questions we should be asking? Should there be other questions we should be asking, right? So the 3 surveys that are going out this year, which are university-wide, at this point in time, is the exit survey. I mean, the exit survey goes every year, but we're trying to revamp it. We have the climate survey, so that the last time I think it was done was in 2018, and that was done by an external consultant, so this time we're doing it in-house. So the climate survey, anyone doesn't know what the climate survey is? Okay, so a climate survey is basically a snapshot in time of student lived experiences on campus and how, whether you feel like you belong, whether you've had experiences of othering, there's a whole gamut of questions around various lived experiences. Do you feel respected in the classroom? Do you feel connected in the classroom? Have you experienced microaggression? Those kinds of, lot of questions related to that. So, and it goes out not just to students. So the climate survey is every constituent in the university. So it's sent out to faculty, staff, and students to talk about what is the climate of Santa Clara. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm still learning the history, the last climate survey was the one that resulted in the MCC, getting more resource and having the kind of space that it occupies right now. So this climate survey is a big deal. We would want all students to participate. Obviously, we want the whole community to participate. And then the third survey that's coming out is going to be the NSSE, the National Survey on Student Engagement. Again, this is an inter-institutional survey. It's usually sent out to first years and final year students. And the reason that we send it out is, again, it's about your experience. Are you in the classroom? Do you have discussions? Like, what are the best practices that are happening? So there are a whole bunch of questions that are validated. And we ask those questions, and we want to know what's the difference between the first year experience and the growth or the change in the final year experience. So these are the 3 big surveys that are coming out this year. We also have a project where we want to track, and this is again something that we would love ideas, to collaborate with you on how do we track high impact practices, which are called HIPs. Have you heard of HIPs? Okay. So high impact practices are basically things like residential learning communities, internships, research endeavors that you partner in with your faculty, what else? Study abroad. So a lot of these things that are supposed to have a high impact in your learning and your educational journey, which have been research has shown that it helps students then be engaged in their discipline and grow to be lifelong learners. So those are the high impact practices that we would want to document. We want to say Santa Clara is able to engage, is able to offer students. There are 11 documented high impact practices. And so we want to be able to say, okay, this program, or if you're in this school, you experience 6, or you experience 8, or you experience 10 high impact practices, right? So we want to be able to document and track some of that, and so we're trying to figure out what that would look like. That's a 2-year project. And then the last couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about. We have the 2030 strategic goal for the strategic plan for the university. Are you all familiar with that? Yes? So the 4 goals, anyone wants to? So we have, as part of the 2030 strategic plan, right? One is to be recognized as an HSI institution, right? A Hispanic serving institution. That is numbers, but it's also then about how are we serving the students who come in, right? So that's one. And then the second is we want to foster belonging. We want to be a globalized campus. We want to increase our Pell-eligible students on campus. So as we as a campus grow to serve more diverse populations, because currently I think we are a primarily white student, serving institution, so a PWI. We want to look at what does that mean in terms of the institutional culture, what does that mean in terms of systems and ways of being that we may have to look into and change or grow to make sure that we're serving students who are coming in well, right? And so part of that, what our office has done is, I see us as in the best possible way, like maybe like Ghost Spider, as my little ones see in the cartoons, or like Black Widow, but like a spider. We know, basically because we work with every program in every school, and we work with the student support side of the house, and we work with the Inclusive Excellence Office, and we work with Ignatian Center. So we work with everyone, and we know how to connect people, because it's like, hey, this data that you're finding is very useful for this data. How many of you all have heard about the NCHA data findings? The National Collegiate Health Assessment Survey. I think that would be really valuable for you all, again, to know about, and I'm happy to have Kyle come and share that at some point, about, again, the health of students based on student survey responses from last year or the year before. I think we do it once every 2 or 3 years, about the findings of like what are the stressors, what is the drinking culture on campus, like what are students' perspectives on all of that. I think it would be really valuable. So I want to bring back information to you, because a lot of times you are on the table. We are discussing student learning, we are discussing student success, and many times students are not at the table, right? So we want to change that culture a little bit. We want you all to be a partner in this work with us, have eyes on the data. We are oftentimes spending so much time recruiting students to participate in surveys, but we're not coming back to you with the findings of the survey. right? And so we want to come back to you with, okay, so this is what we found, and this is, so how do you want to act on it, or how should we act on it? So that's our commitment. So the first thing that we have done this year, we started on Tuesday, we did a lunch and learn co-creating action. It was an unconferencing approach to the Latinx student lived experience, where students, faculty, staff members shared about their lived experiences of being Latinx on campus, right? And what was that like, and whether it was othering, what were some affirming ways of being. And so we want to co-create action in terms of change and make recommendations to the university. What I'm realizing is, so there's an international student population that also needs some kind of visibility and voice. So we want to offer space and create space for that. There is also, I think there is a FLY conference that's happening in the first week of November, which is for first generation. It's all about first generation students and low income students and what that means for them, again, to be in a living situation where people have money to spend and you don't necessarily do, and what that lived experience is like, right? What I'm also realizing is that there's a need around graduate students, there's a need around commuter students. So I'm happy to learn. I'm here to learn from you as much as shared with you about what the needs are, what's top of mind. I was very inspired, again, in the second month of my being here, in watching the State of the Union, State of the University address, where the president from last year's, the government spoke about some of the work and research that they were doing that was leading to action. So I also want to offer you support that if you are trying to investigate something for your peers, we are happy to come and partner with you and and support you in that process and help guide you in how you can get that information that you want to get to make some decisions that you want to make or advocate for something. So I will leave it at that. If you haven't looked at your program learning outcomes, please do. Please look at them and talk to your faculty, talk to your program chairs. And again, we want to build student agency in everything that we do. So happy to support you. Do you have any top of mind already, that the agenda for this year is, like top of mind needs, thoughts, observations? Yes?
So you're saying that it's yourself, personally you hired Kyle and one more, you guys manage all these surveys, all of the data?
We work in partnership with multiple offices. So we work with institutional research, they do a lot of the analysis. But yes, so the climate study is actually owned technically by Inclusive Excellence. So maybe Ray Plaza, yes. So so we are the center for all the institutional run surveys. Yes. Yes. Thank you for that question. Yes.
I'm curious to know more about the HSI status. So currently, do you know what the school is doing to actually support the Latina student population? And post HSI status, how will that change? How will that improve? Does the status itself actually do more than just offer funding to the university?
So I am on the HSI working group, still learning, right? So there is a working group. For those of you who can, tomorrow there's a luncheon again by the Office of Multicultural Learning. They are also doing, because it's again Hispanic Heritage Month, right? So they are doing a lunch and learn where actually the co-chair of the Hispanic Serving Institution Working Group, the HSI Working Group, is going to be presenting. So that would be again a great space. What I can say is, I know that the HSI status then federally does give us some funding, right? But in terms of what a foundational assessment is of current status versus the needs to improve a future status, that's what the HSI working group is working on. So I love how you phrase that question, because that's giving me an idea to ask in the working group, saying how are we assessing current systems and processes so that we can demonstrate growth of, so we changed this, so we moved this, so we did that. So thank you for that question. I don't have a good answer, but it leads me to doing more work.
Thank you. And just as a follow-up,
yeah.
Do you mind sharing the information of that meeting? That's something good.
Sure. OML's, and I can forward it to you. So you tell me whose email. But if you search like Office of Multicultural Learning, in their events, it should be there. So even for this, so I want to acknowledge something, right? So even as we put on this, the Latinx student experience luncheon, and we want to do more of this over the course of the year, I don't send it out to all the students, right? Like I sent it out to specific students based on staff recommendations. And the challenge there is because I'm nervous that if I send it out to all students will come, and then we don't have the bandwidth or the capacity of physical space to accommodate everyone, right? So there is like an irony there in saying we want more student participation, but not all student participation. So we want to figure out a way where we can intentionally have a collaborative relationship. So is there events about
Excuse me?
yes,
I can just give you my email, we can send
yes,
that.
I can do that. I can do that.
I just sent it into the ASG Slack.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
That was so kind. Thank you. So yes, so tomorrow if you have an RSVP, please RSVP now so that you have enough food. And then please show up, yes. Yes.
So you said that your dissertation was sort of on like studying how communities can better meet the needs of their community members.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, like, your opinion on, what do you think the role is that ASG could play in like better meeting the needs of community members, whether that's like the students themselves or also like faculty and staff?
I think that's such a great question. Okay, so in terms of y'all, I think if you don't have very explicit, concrete channels of communication with your constituents, I think that needs to be very actively built. I think a lot of times there's one student, so so let's say a department, because I've been recommending when I go to faculty retreats, right? I've been telling faculty, do you have a student advisory board, like as part of your program or as part of the school, right? Why don't you create a student advisory board? But then don't have the one student then who's on that advisory board who is then, what happened today?
Oh, it's just the dogs.
Okay, but as part of that advisory board, if you have one student on your committee, and that one student is making recommendations, it's that one student's voice that often gets, it doesn't necessarily get the power and the visibility in the room in the conversation, and then you're also putting that pressure on the one student to be the representative for a diverse set of experiences, right? Without giving that one student access to all the students. So I know serving on multiple advisory boards as a student, where it was like, so Divya, what do you think international student needs? And I'm like, I don't know how to ask all my other international students, right? So we created just like over here, and I'm just learning from Ted, just like over here at University of Oregon at that point in time, this was a while back, there were no graduate student services. So I, as an international student, would get ping-ponged. I would go to student affairs, and student affairs would say, sorry, like we're not here to serve you, we can't help you, go back to your program. Program will say, we don't know what to do, go to international affairs, go to global engagement. And global engagement would say, sorry, like we only handle like the legal aspects of it, so you should go back to your program. So there was a lot of like just bouncing off and not knowing who to go to. So I would say if you haven't built your communication channels, especially feedback channels, and I don't know, do you all have strong feedback channels?
I think that they probably could be stronger, but it's also like, I think for us it's a matter of, we have the avenue, but then like making sure that people know about it and like actually use it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that that's like the area of growth for us.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think it's about visibility too, right? And then how do you distribute attendance at events? How do you make sure that you have voice? In some of the faculty retreats that I went to, some of the programs were actually talking about how we are not doing as a university or as a program, we want to do more around building student activism or building student understanding of what advocacy looks like or policy change looks like, and we could be doing more, right? And so I think, again, as leaders on campus, there's a space and a way in which y'all can build those channels and then be visible and be intentional about, I'm going and attending this and bringing this information back. I'm going and attending and bringing this. So I would say, I think the fact that y'all are serving, spending your time doing this is amazing. So kudos to y'all. And the more y'all can reach, like you have a lot of peers in res halls, right? Like you have about 70, 80 community facilitators, right? Who are, then again, they have roles where they are working with student populations, are hearing about student needs. So it's about how do you connect with each of these areas where there are students who are doing work, and then bringing, how do we make sure that we are representing this information accurately, right? So yeah, and my goal is to help you build connections across the community with faculty and staff. And my conversation, so to your other part of your question, in terms of faculty staff, for me it's always, if you don't have the communities that you are representing at the table, but they are on the table, that's not, I don't think that's equitable. I don't think that will lead to the right decision making, because we're making decisions about groups that are not at the table. And it needs to be a conversation, and it needs to be more, it's not like everyone has their perspective based on their role and identity and lived experience and power. So it's about bringing everyone together and saying, this is why and this is how we have that conversation. So that's my commitment, or I'm trying to live my values of making sure that we do that, and kind of encourage others to bring more students to the table. Y'all are the experts in your lived experience, so, you know.
Any other questions or anything you want to share back?
Yes.
Okay, this is definitely part of the larger conversation, but just, okay, these aren't like the actual numbers, but just like example numbers. Let's say like the Latino and like Hispanic student population is like 17.5%. If we hit 20% by 2030, we get an HSI recognition. I'm not saying these are the exact percentages, but just like about, instead of the black student population is around 5%. Like where, have you guys looked into where that 2.5% is coming from? Because like that 2.5% going to Hispanic students is great, but that comes from black students. You're cutting them by like 50% overall. So like, how do you support those students, like Indian black students, and where are you taking that?
So this is a great question. So as part of laws that are being passed across the country, right, that are not in California, we're very fortunate to be wherever we are, but as part of laws that are happening across the country, admissions is race, does not consider race. So that this year, like we are legally not allowed to consider race, is my understanding. And I want to caveat everything with, I am not the expert. I may make a mistake and share misinformation, and if I realize that, I will share back. But if you realize that, feel free to say like, she was wrong, and you know, but we are not. So we legally are not allowed to consider race, right? So I don't know whether any of you all saw the convocation address, and I again found out from Ted just now that you all don't attend the university convocation address by the president. But we actually are very close to already hitting our target numbers, population numbers, for becoming an HSI university, even though it's like 5 years away, right? We have dropped in terms of black student enrollment, I think by 2 or 3%. So maybe maybe you know all this already, and I don't know at this point. Like that would be a great question again. Eva tomorrow, she's the VP for admissions. Like she'll be there tomorrow at the luncheon. You know, it's a great again opportunity to connect, and I'm happy to make an introduction at the luncheon because I plan to be there. But because you couldn't consider race, how that showed up, it's not. What you're talking about is a classic example of what again in my theoretical knowledge is called transferred oppression, where it's like, you know, the folks who don't have resources or who are marginalized already are then fighting for like a piece of the pie and feel like it's at the cost of one another, when it's not, right? So I don't think like becoming an HSI institution necessarily means that you're, as a result, you know, admitting less black students. I think there's very intentional purposes around, because the president addressed this where she said, we need to grow our black student population as well. It shouldn't, those were not seen as interconnected and codependent at all. Because again, we couldn't check for race, ethnicity in admissions. That was not a criteria. We couldn't ask it. Nobody's allowed to see it until after they matriculate. Like that's when we get the data of identity, student identity. So, so there's work that needs to be done, both in terms of admitting, but also in terms of serving and making the campus a friendly place. And so, yeah. Yes?
I was wondering, you talked about some of the surveys you're going to be setting up. how, or like what kind of strategies do you use to try to ensure you get a representative sample of the student body? Because I can imagine it'd be hard to.
And a lot of times the challenge with the surveys, right, is when we want to do statistical. So when you talk about researchers, right, and most of all our faculty are, so they will say, okay, so how is this statistically significant in terms of the difference between this population and this population's lived experience? The challenge is oftentimes that the ends are so low because it's always a percentage of the population, right, that answers the, so let's say we have what, 4,000-ish students? How many students?
6,000.
6,000. So we have 6,000 students and let's say like usually it's about 30, 40, 50% of students who respond, right? And so within that, there's also the thing of like, does a student feel safe answering those questions? Do they see the point in answering those questions? Will anything change? So there's a lot of survey fatigue as well, right? So we try to send it out, like there was a first destination survey that was sent out last year, did it? I don't think any of you all would have taken it. So that was sent out to final year students. It's something that we want to incorporate into the exit survey. It was asking all graduating students saying, do you have a job? Do you feel prepared for a job? Are you, what are you doing? Did you get an internship? So it was spearheaded by the Career Center, and it was partnered, like multiple stakeholders on campus partnered, and they sent it out. And what was amazing was I think they got like a 68 or something % response rate, which is very, very high. It may seem like it's low. They got, and that was because faculty members and chairs and like multiple people said, take the survey, right? So we have a marketing strategy and it keeps changing for every survey on campus. But in terms of analysis, the challenge with analysis, which is why it's like the qualitative aspect also matters, which is why we want student partners at the table looking at the survey data, is because it's very easy to not have a statistically significant, to not be able to pull that statistical significance because certain ends are so low, certain numbers are so low. So then the argument will be, but we can't generalize that for the campus. And so then how do we say, no, you can? Without students at the table to say, no, you can generalize that issue or that experience on campus. So it's a very complicated answer for a seemingly, it's a very good question. But that's why we want more students to be involved, so that then we can say, hey, I'm going to go and reach out to my constituents and share these findings and say, does this kind of reflect your lived experience? Would you agree with this, right? We are working on the orientation experience because this is the first year in person back since COVID, right? And so we're trying to figure out what aspects of the orientation work, what should we change, what didn't work. So we're trying to, again, gauge that. We're going to we asked students, we got all the first year students who came onto campus, they finished their orientation in the summer, we got their feedback. But all the folks who came in September for the one-day orientation, our response rate was very low, right? Because it was merged into welcome weekend. So then whatever findings we have is kind of skewed in this group versus this group. And so we have a follow-up survey that we're doing with the orientation students. So there are multiple elements. The final thing I forgot to say is we have this program called the BASA, the Bronco Assessment Student Ambassador Program. It's right now we have one student, again, because our office's budget is very small. It started off with like some funding from partners, and so we had 3 or 4 students. It's now whittled down to 1. But my goal is to work with university relations to get a grant or something so that we can have more students in our office doing this work. So being students, having either an internship or some kind of partnership where we can grow it, where students are the ones. And we have that on our website. There's actually a small video by the students who participated in the Bronco exchange, the Bronco Student Ambassador, BASA program is what we call it. But my life, whatever legacy that I would want to leave is to grow this into a research hub where students are active members in evaluating their own college experience. So, yeah. Long-winded answer for a simple question. Any other questions? I would encourage you, look at your program learning outcomes, and if you don't think they reflect what you're learning, have a conversation, reach out to me, with your faculty. It's a great opportunity to say, are you really teaching us this? Because I do backward design with faculty and do retreats and stuff and say, okay, so you're saying your students should learn this, so where in the curriculum is this? right? And so please have your eyes, on your learning outcomes and what you want to get out of your programs. And happy to always have that conversation, saying, oh, yeah, we want more of this in our program, or we're seeing this in our program, and I'm happy to connect you. And like I said, be the spider that creates the web so that you're able to do, not catch you in the web.
Thank you so much for being here and for talking to us. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. Good luck with your academics as well. Thank you for serving. I think it's really wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Alright. Next we're going to be doing some branch combinations. I think it's just PR today. So Sophia, if you want to introduce your nominees.
Do you just want everyone to go to the front?
Yes. Bailey, do we need to motion to wipe out now, or does it?
You can do it.
Okay.
Is it easier for me to talk about everyone individually? Or
Yeah.
do you want me to? Okay. Hi guys, I'm so excited to be back. I'm so excited to introduce you to hopefully the new PR branch. I want to start with Layla, since you all know and love Layla. She was here last year and also previously served as the social media chair. She did great last year. It was awesome getting to work with her on so many different social media campaigns. She's dedicated, super driven, always ready to be involved in our campus community, and I think she will do great things again this year. And then for our new Bronco News chairs, we have Ben and Sarayu. They, I think, will also be both fantastic additions to our PR team this year. I think after talking to Hugh and the rest of Bronco News about everything that they felt Bronco News embodied, I kind of just came down to the conclusion that they were incredibly hilarious, kind, genuine people who really did want to make an impact on the university. They both have great technical skills and are definitely very much just genuine people here at Santa Clara, and I think they really embody everything Hugh was looking to pass down. And finally, for our marketing chair, we have Amelia. She has had much previous experience in her roles managing different social media marketing campaigns, and I think she's driven, dedicated, incredibly organized, and great at time management, and also just has a great interest in getting involved in our campus.
Does anyone have any questions for any of them?
Maybe if each of you guys could share why ASG as opposed to being a part of PR for a different student org or something else, why you want to do it here. I think that'd be cool to know.
Yeah, sorry, I'm finding it cold right now. But I want to be a part of ASG PR once again, just because I think this is a great community. I feel like because we're also passionate about just being a part of ASG, kind of lift that and really enhance that idea that we're so connected and we really want to build a community like all of Santa Clara. And I think really the only way to do that is because everyone's on their phone nowadays, get it out there, get it on our social medias, and really kind of bring the community together.
For me personally, it's seeing Bronco News in action. It's incredibly entertaining, it's funny, it's informative, and it's just a great experience for the people that they interviewed, people that were part of their sketches, and at the same time, just working together as a group. And I love the idea of using comedy to make people's lives better. So in this way, I'm thinking that's a great way to get the word out about ASG, make a difference, and at the same time, make something that I'm proud of and is entertaining.
For me, I really see the impact that every single person makes here and the passion that everyone has being here. And towards Bronco News, I see a lot of people who follow that account, people who are just not even interested in ASG, but genuinely think of it as an entertainment resource. And I just really want to be part of that and be an outreach to people who don't know much about the ASG or just the work that you guys do here.
I think what's been said, all three of these people have said, I think that just enhancing the visibility of student government on campus and through the marketing chair, I think a lot of that is kind of connecting students with obviously the website or the Instagram, just kind of figuring out how to convey what ASG's been doing and just events and just getting them well connected with marketing materials
we have a couple sketches planned. Our first one is we are trying to hopefully specifically talk to freshmen to see what they're excited about going into campus. That's one of our things. Another one we had was a scavenger of sorts. That would be just for fun. That's to get the name of ASG out. It would be us doing it, getting people to take part in it. It'd be entertaining, something people can laugh at to watch.
Oh yeah, basically everything he just covered. We have like, I think about 4 or 5 videos planned out. We work with each other over summer, so hopefully we'll be getting some content out soon for all of you guys to see.
Any other questions? In that case, I'll invite you guys to step outside. Can you can stay. No, you can stay.
Motion to wipe out.
Second.
Motion for Tyler, second for Dave. Sarah, keep, thank you. All those in favor of white outing, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Okay. We're gonna white outing, but, so I guess as a collective then, does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns for Sophia about her potential operations?
Have you seen any of their previous content before?
Yeah, I have. They made a small sample video before they came in to interview, and they did that individually, so it was a little bit different, because I was kind of seeing them as individuals and working in a group. But they're very funny, they're very well spoken, and I think they also have a lot of knowledge about the university in general too, and they're very excited about meeting with new students, so I thought it was great.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Did you choose them like based on the vision that they were put together, like the lead
Yes.
or something?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments or concerns? Yeah.
I guess just like historically, we know that like the newsletter has kind of changed in terms of what's actually being on there and who's representing ASG like post-COVID. So I'm curious to know like how you're going to utilize like Bronco News and like the social media to more like I guess amplify what ASG do specifically rather than just like school news in general.
Yeah, absolutely. I've kind of, if you've looked at the one from the last 2 weeks, we do still have that separate ASG section at the forefront of the newsletter. So for anyone that's had anything going on in your branches, freshman elections, any important election, or otherwise ASG information that people want to be publicized, that will all go in the newsletter. So if someone reaches out to me and says, like, this isn't necessarily being publicized on Instagram, or it's not really like a resource for the entire community, but something that we want to get the word out in regard to ASG, there's an entire section for that now. We do still have a Bronco News section. I just haven't had that in the first 2 weeks because they haven't been confirmed yet. But they'll definitely be part of that news section as well when they have their videos uploaded. Yeah.
Those are good questions, guys. Anything else? In that case, I'll entertain a motion to vote. Second. Motion from Grace, second from Rico. All those in favor of voting, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. And, yeah, so we're white balloting, so all those in favor of all of them being confirmed, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Awesome. We are confirmed. Well, they'll do the thing, but, yeah.
Don't need it like that, but the little thing.
Sorry. What's the word?
Swearing in.
Yeah, the swearing in.
There you go, get started.
Okay, sorry. I remember what I had to say. Okay, congrats guys. I'll have you guys all raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name.
I, Ben,
Do solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution and bylaws
do solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution and bylaws
of the Associated Student Government
of the Associated Student Government
of Santa Clara University,
of Santa Clara University.
Alright, we're gonna do the election committee confirmations right now, just to we're in the confirmation headspace. So yeah, do you wanna?
Yeah, so for this next year, I need people in the election committee, and so I picked 4 people, tried to get people from different branches to kind of get more of an outlook. So they're going to be hopefully helping me with just election documents, all the technical stuff that I will need help with. Should I do one by one, or should I do all of them? So it's Sarah, Nash, Nina, and Amika. Awesome. Yeah, if you guys, I can explain my reasoning for all of them if you guys want me to.
Yeah, maybe can you also do a quick spiel about what, like, the election committee does, just in general, like?
Yeah, basically we oversee the elections. If there's any problems with it, it goes to us. We also just deal with election information sessions, all the events happening, counting all the signatures, making sure all the documents are right, just making sure elections kind of go smoothly. And I guess when I was picking these people, I wanted people that could be in this position the entire year for spring elections as well. So that's how I landed on these 4 people. Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for any of Irta's nominees?
Do you guys want me to say why I picked?
Yeah.
Like, I would rather last week.
Yeah, no, please, say that.
Well, Sarah, obviously, she's chief of staff, we kind of do a lot of things together, and this is just another thing. We're both also seniors, and it's easier to have a senior or people who aren't going to be running for an elected position next year, because then I won't have to replace people. Nash, obviously, he's always organized. He has just shown himself and his dedication to ASG, so I thought that would also be good. As well with Nina, same thing. I thought I also wanted a PR perspective. Also just getting like information from everyone, if that'd be good. And then Enrique from Senate, kind of the same thing. Yeah. Any questions?
Bailey, do we need to go outside? Is it just like a normal confirmation?
If you want to, you can, but you also don't have to. I don't think. Okay.
Okay, you guys don't have to go outside.
They're
But we
they're
still,
all already in there.
we
They're
still,
all in SG already, so.
but do we need to vote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you should wait out if you want to do that.
Motion to wait ballot.
Motion from Tara, second from Carter. All those in favor of boycotting, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. We're gonna white ballot. Motion to vote. Second. Motion from Liv, second from Iman. All those in favor of voting, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Okay, so all of those in favor of those 4 people being on the election committee, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Perfect. We have our election committee. What kind of a bug is that?
I don't know.
Is it a bee?
I don't know. It's like a bee or that does not.
Okay, moving on.
It's okay. Sorry.
Next, Ryan and I together have a couple updates. Do we want to talk about SAC first?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just get it. Alright, so Sarah and I had our first student affairs committee, policy committee meeting yesterday at 8 a.m. We had to, we worked on it, we worked with the rest of the committee members. We worked with the rest of the committee members to reorganize the expressive activity policy. And expressive policy is defined as peaceful dissent, protest, and peaceful assembly and orderly demonstrations such as marches, picketing, protest, vigils, rallies, and displays. And especially with it being an election year and just so much going on, we just wanted to make sure that the language in that expressive activity policy was worded correctly. So past, this is how budgets were actually approved. ASG was able to see the breakdown of every CSO actually. We're not gonna do that this year for like all the current ones, but next year when we get rechartered, we would like all the orgs to send out a breakdown like this, so that you can actually see what the stipend amounts are. Instead of saying like, say, like ASG's total budget is around, is 54K. So we have 19K set aside for stipends, and we have the remaining 35K for operating. This year, we got another 2K increase to our overall budget. And we talked with exec already, the way that we want to reallocate this extra 2K is to stay consistent with a lot of other CSOs that have the VP, principal, director, associate director working closely together. We want to bump Erita's stipend amount to the next tier. So another thing also, there's tiers. You can't just bump up a stipend an arbitrary amount. You have to go within the tier amounts. So other CSOs have the VP role or like the associate director role at tier 6, and that's something I want to do for ASG as well. Erita does a lot of work. We've been working all summer. I believe she does deserve the increase to tier 6. And you can confirm in the past the VP position was at tier 6, correct?
For 1 year.
For 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's been at tier 5.
Okay. I believe that it should be bumped up to that amount. Instead, we talked about it. To bump it up to that tier amount would be 4,500, and just stay consistent overall. The Bronco News producer and editor positions is the only non-exec, non-senate position that gets paid. And I'm not saying they don't do work. I'm just saying that if you compile all the PR, everyone in PR does work. We're very thankful for the work that you do, but we would think of cutting that stipend amount and just returning all of the remaining amount to operating. So the total operating budget goes up by around 400, and the total stipend budget goes up to around 20,600.
How much would the bump to T6 mean in terms of stipend, like pure cash? Like how much more is that?
4,500.
Huh?
4,500.
4,500. This is more of like a general, bigger budgetary question. I know end of last year, we had a sort of discussion and the bylaw change to reduce the sort of cuts to the other like chairs and stuff. How are we looking in terms of the debt that ASG has?
ASG did really good on their budget last year. Finance branch, especially Jocelyn, was very good at handling the overall budget. We did not go in debt last year. We did the best, I think, among CSOs with the staying on the budget. Like we used up as much money as we possibly could without going into debt. Wait, sorry, what was the exact question?
No, I just remember, wasn't there some discussion about us having to like cut budgets so that we could pay off some previous debt from previous years?
Yeah, that's correct.
That too.
It was 4,000. We divided it by 2 years. So last year was year 1. So you guys had to do it again for year 2. But even with that $2,000 debt deficit, ASG still broke even, which that was the guidance of Jocelyn with guiding the budget across all the branches.
And so, I guess my question is, so I guess this year we probably have to pay another part of that, right? So the other 2,000.
About 2,000.
We're getting an increase in budget by 2,000. I guess my question is, where would the money that was saved from cutting the other chairs budget go, as well as Bronco News, if you guys decided to forward that? Is that for? Yeah. I mean, is that like a general budget thing, or?
So like the exact branch under Senate, PR, whatever like that.
No, I just.
It would just go under operating budget.
But the operating budget's increasing by 400.
It would increase.
He's asking where that 400 goes to that. I think, correct. But under Senate.
I don't know. I'll look at the numbers later. Yeah, I'm just dealing with it, but sorry.
It's just
I'm
moving
not-
under operating budget.
Yeah. Okay.
Like anything that is moved from here would go under operating budget, which is like any events from anywhere.
Okay.
For the overall operating budget, which is around 35K, we've already told the VPs and Bailey like how much
second everything that Ryan has said. Also, this was not Erta's idea, so don't let that. Erta, yeah. There's no like conflict of interest in terms of that. I just wanted to clear that up. And I think we can all acknowledge how much work that she does and how much work that Jenna did, and just in general how much work that position requires. And I think that it's definitely. It's the type of thing where we want to be sort of on par with other CSOs, and that's how most other CSOs are doing it. And so, just to be consistent with that, I think is sort of the main motivator for this change. So yeah, this is mainly just a discussion to sort of test the waters on what you guys think about it. We're not like voting today or anything like that. It's going to require a bylaw change, but yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Oh, I don't agree with it. For the bylaw change, my question is, I remember last year that we had to change like some of the wording because if you change the stipends, you have to change like the exact like role of whose stipend is being changed. So just my question is like, what would the change look like? Have you guys talked that out yet, or is that like future discussion?
Yeah, in general, this is across all 9 charter school organizations. If you bump up someone a tier, you can't just say that they're saying do the same role. You have to say whether they do it that's significant to validate that increase. Likewise, if you're decreasing their stipend, where you take away from their role to validate, or else it's just arbitrary saying, oh, I should just earn more, but I'm just doing the same amount as the previous person. So
So when we work on the bylaw change, I think it'll be clear to I and anyone else that wants to help go over this.
the position descriptions are bylaws, so every position description would have to be voted on by Senate.
Yeah.
My question, just the bottom, the math doesn't add up. It's 1 equals 450, not 100. So the 3/4, 150.
Oh yeah. So those. Okay. So that's it. Thank you for pointing that out. So correct me if I'm wrong. The stipend tier 1, that $500, it's like discretionary plus or minus 50. Is that right?
Yeah,
So
all the tiers can go.
oh, okay. Yeah. So they're
It might
just
just be like an Excel like formula mistake.
yeah.
Like the formula was outdated.
Yeah, so it's basically any of those stipends can go. So for like the 500, it's anywhere from 450 to 550. So it just has like the middle amount in the stipend, like dollar amount there, and then the details are in the folder space. Does that answer your question? Any other questions? Yeah.
Out of curiosity, was the operating budget last year 35K too?
It was 33K, or, sorry. It was 35K last year, this year it's gonna be 35,004.
Right.
So both budgets will go, and the stipend budget will be around 20,600.
Any other questions or comments?
Is there anyone that would like to help with that? Bylaw change, like, this is a super easy bylaw change, just changing a couple bullet points and dollar amounts.
Cool. Yeah, so this will be a continued conversation because we'll have the bylaw change and we'll have a week to discuss and then a week to discuss again and vote. So yeah, just keep thinking about it. Let Ryan or I know if you have any suggestions or qualms or anything like that, basically. But,
Yeah, this isn't like set in stone, just
Yeah.
wanted to share, just wanted to talk about it.
yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. Okay. Last main thing for today is everyone on exec has been, I think, probably bugging you guys a little bit about the tabling. But I just can click on that. Thank you. Oh, perfect. So I just wanted to. I think the link might have the actual. I don't know if it'll work, but let's try. Oh, no, just. Oh yeah. Okay. So I I keep bringing this up over email, but I just wanted to go over it in person so that everyone sort of understands what I mean when I reference this appendix. So basically this is a bylaw change or bylaw addition, I guess you could say, that was passed in the spring of last year. It just sort of, I guess, was, I would say, in response to like just wanting to standardize ASG, and specifically Senate, like presence and visibility and like involvement around campus. And so the main thing for right now that I just want to like highlight, I guess, is in the section 3 requirements. Everyone is required to attend 2 hours of tabling per quarter. You guys might have looked at this already, but this is just what I'm referring to when I say that the 2 hours is required. And so if that doesn't happen, then there's like a disciplinary procedure, but I don't foresee that being a huge issue. But yeah, I just wanted to like, I guess, formally explain what I was referencing. Does anybody have any questions about the requirement or any like comments? Yeah.
Okay, so what if we like schedule like a tabling like last minute something like happens? Like, should we notify? Like, who do we notify?
You can like, so I would say for that, in my opinion, like just try to notify whoever's tabling at that time. But then that's not necessarily a problem as long as you make up that tabling at a dinner time. So yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Add there, like the requirement says, you have to do 2 hours. If not, you have to meet with me and Claire, which I would prefer not to do personally. So if you could just, again, do your 2 hours. Also, if you don't do it, you have to do 2 more the next quarter. So like you're not even saving so many time.
Yeah.
So strongly recommend, for your sake and my sake, to do your tabling hours as early in the quarter as possible.
Yeah. That's another good point that Amy just said. I recommend doing it earlier rather than later. Again, there's going to be a lot more opportunity to do it earlier in the quarter rather than later, just because like at the start of the quarter we want to be sort of as visible as possible. But yeah, Sarah.
Yeah, I like that. Tabling is so important because you get to show your face to the student body, people need to recognize you, and they get to come up to you if they have an issue sometime during the year. The speaker today, I think, really resonated with me personally because just her talking about like feedback and feedback form, I don't think that feedback form is very useful, unfortunately, just because people don't use it. And if you're a familiar face and they know who you are and that feedback is up to your table, they'll be more inclined to come up to you and talk to you because you're a human being with a face and with a smile. So tabling is really important to get the projects going and to serve the student body as we're supposed to do. So, yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, Grace.
Speaking of serving the student body, and this is more so like like administrative, like a housekeeping comment on tabling, and I know that we're talking a lot about it today, so I appreciate everyone's like patience with this. So we do have a supplies of like single-use Narcan or naloxone in our office. If you walk in and you like look towards like the tables on the right-hand side, there's 3 cardboard boxes. Those are all filled with single-unit Narcans. They're the exact same ones that are in the vending machines that the Wellness Center has, that Res Life should have. And so we were gifted a supply from the Wellness Center to use at tabling. So if you guys are the first shift and you're setting up, or if you come and you see there's no more on the table, please, 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 please pass them out. We want to, like myself, Tay, Sophia, Sarah, we've been working for months now on trying to increase the points of contact for Narcan on our campus. But equally as important as giving someone a box of Narcan is ensuring that they take a picture of the flyer that Sophia made about it. gives them information about our medical amnesty policy, about the Good Samaritan policy. A lot of our students' hesitancy about administering Narcan, whoa.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary looking. The biggest reason why people don't administer Narcan is because they're afraid they're gonna get in trouble. If not by Santa Clara, they're afraid that like a San Jose PD is gonna like get them in trouble or something. There's actually a California state law that you cannot get in trouble for administering Narcan, like no matter the circumstance. Whoa. So TLDR, grab the Narcan tabling, offer it to people at all times, and make sure they take a picture of the flyer. I hope you all got that, mind the distraction.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments or concerns?
In addition to what Grace just said,
in addition to what Grace just said, it'd be really helpful to also keep track of when we're passing out the Narcan, so that we're not like accidentally losing the supply, because basically the wellness center is very on top of the amount of that we keep. So it'd be really helpful if, like, when you're done tabling or like the end of the week, if you just like write down or like put in the Slack about how much Narcan was passed out.
That's a really. Anything else? No? Okay. And I am keeping track, I promise. But yeah, some people already have it done. I promise it's really easy. I promise. I wouldn't. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Matt. Okay, so I have a couple of announcements for you guys. Okay, first thing is one of my big goals, I would say, overarching goals for the year, is to meet individually with every one of you one time per quarter at least. And so I'm gonna be doing like one-on-ones, I would say, probably weeks 5 through 7 or 6 through 8. But yeah, so I just wanted to get that on your radar. I'm probably gonna do a thing where I just kind of like send you a link where I'm available, and then you sign up for a certain like 15-minute time slot or something like that. It's really just like, it's not formal. I just want to like, I guess, talk to everyone about what sort of products you're interested in, what you're interested in more broadly, and like anything that I can do or anything that like the rest of the exec can do to support you guys. So yeah, just wanted to like throw that out there, and I'll have more details on that later. I'm also going to be having office hours tomorrow. I'll be in the ASG office from 2 to 3, I think. And so yeah, you can just come by. Also, like, you can tell non-ASG people to come by. It's really just like, I want to be able to answer questions, whether it's from you guys or like generally the student body. So yeah. And then, so Mercedes and Charlie and I met with Jeannie last Thursday about SR1. And so yeah, I just wanted to give some updates on that. We basically went through like bullet point by bullet point. And she just kind of covered, I guess, like what has been going on with each of those steps. And there's been headway, like there's been movement in action on a lot of them. I think the main one that was sort of glossed over was the birth control and contraceptives, which is to be expected. But yeah, that's just an ongoing conversation that's gonna take a little while. But yeah, I wanted to give an update on that. And then week 3, so next week, I'm gonna be asking for updates from everyone about like just in general what you're working on. Jenna used to do this, and Erta's doing it too next week, but I'm asking each of you guys. and it's just a way that like we can all basically just be accountable and make sure we're, you know, doing the things that like we want to do and that we want to do. So yeah. Second to last thing, I'm working on making like a toolbox in the Google Drive, basically with resources that would be beneficial or like useful to you guys. So things like the resolution template, admin contact list, the onboarding presentation that I gave last spring will be in there. So I was wondering if you guys have anything off the top of your head that would be helpful, that like you would want to see in there or that you want to know more about or anything. Yeah.
I already brought this up at Senate Exec, but does anyone know what happened to like all the transition documents we worked on last spring? Since I think, I don't know, some of them are not accessible currently.
Actually, do you guys know?
Like, Jill was supposed to give us to me and I have not received them yet, but I will text her right now and get them.
Okay.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah. Anything else that would be beneficial to you guys in any way? Oh yeah, sorry about it.
So there's still 2 policy committees that we need to fill. Okay. There's still 2 policy committees that we need to fill. Academic Affairs Committee, which the provost sits on. So these policy committees are staffed with a bunch of different like admin, faculty, like staff members from like many different areas. So if you want to work with these people, this is a great way to get to meet them. It's almost like you and maybe one other student. There's also another position on the Student Affairs Committee, so you get to join like Claire and I, and get to talk with Jeannie, just work on, like, we wrote a couple pages of the student handbook, just like if you're passionate about those things, please apply.
Yeah, and the Parking and Transportation Services Committee. If you're a commuter student, if you use the parking spots, any perspective from students is needed. And for also the committees that Ryan mentioned, just reach out to me and I can get in contact with you, the application link and all that.
Anything else that would be useful? You can also just email me, text me, Slack me, whatever. So, cool. And then last thing really quick is Sophia and Sarah and I met with Molly and Matt from the president's office yesterday. And we talked about Opus Prize stuff. And like Ryan said earlier, they want to do sort of like, they want to give student leaders and like, so I guess for us it'd be people on ASG and other CSOs a chance to talk to the finalists. And again, these are people who are out in the world and are like striving for, I would say, just really astounding and like really meaningful change, and really they're doing really good work. And so any opportunity for us to talk to them would be really, really awesome. So yeah, I was told to sort of get a feel. So they're coming the week of, it's in the middle of November. 11th through 15th. So they're going to be on campus that week. The prize thing, like they mentioned, is on that Thursday afternoon/evening. But yeah, I guess, so my goal is just, I want to test the waters and see like if you guys would be free at some point that week to interact with them, if that's something that sounds interesting to you all. Yeah, okay, wait, okay. Yeah.
Can I just comment on
Yeah,
that really quick?
please.
So me and Sarah are both part of the committee, and I was lucky enough to be an ambassador for one of the finalists. And I just want to say that these are people who are doing amazing work around the world. Can I tell them
What the finalists are?
no, who they are, like where they are?
Sure. The finalists, everything is on the Santa Clara website. There's like an Opus section. There's
One of them was based in Romania working with refugees, another one based in Nigeria working with disadvantaged women. Like, these are people who are really passionate about what they do and how they're doing it, and I just highly recommend for all of us to be engaged with this because we have been working all year for this event to happen, and we're trying our best to make students more involved. So tell your friends about it. Like, this is like honestly a crazy opportunity. It's only gonna happen at Santa Clara once. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
During that week, there's gonna be a number of events where students can get involved, separate from like, we were thinking to do kind of like a ASGX like finalist coffee or something, like.
Go to Voyager.
Something like that, maybe something like, but somewhere where we can all like chat with them, learn more about the work they do, and really get connected. Because there are gonna be other events during that week, such as like a lunch or like a coffee that are more open to like the rest of the student body, but wanted something more intimate. But for those other events that week, we can send out an email with when those are. We're gonna be doing classroom visits as well, so some of you guys might be lucky enough to have the finalists come and watch your class and talk a little bit about the work they do. But yeah, it's gonna be a really great week. I know there hasn't been much talk about what it is, unfortunately, but we're slowly getting the word out. Sophia's gonna be doing some marketing, which is exciting. But yeah, ASG is gonna be involved with that, so please let us know if you have questions, and be involved during that week specifically.
Really quick, like, raise your hand if you would be interested in, like, speaking to the finalists. Okay, good. And then I guess if, so I'm gonna do like morning, afternoon, no, yeah, morning, afternoon, evening, and then like for the times that you are generally free, obviously like we all have class and meetings and stuff like that, raise your hand too, so I can just get a feel of like when we're generally available. So morning, afternoon, and then evening. Okay. Thanks, guys. Oh yeah, here too.
Is it round table more time or?
Yeah, I was just gonna say round table.
Actually, I have two updates. On, is it Tuesday? On Tuesday, me, Ryan, and Sarah met with the Invest Committee of Santa Clara. We talked about the 3 resolutions that were passed by Senate last year, the divestment from fossil fuels, divestment from Israeli apartheid, and the including more students in the investment committee and the board of trustees. It was a discussion, it was a listening session, and then we'll see how it goes from here. That's basically what we can say now. But the social responsible investment subcommittee has been reinstated for the time being. It's temporary, but that's very good because it's a step closer to what we asked for in our resolution. And they seem to be willing to listen. So, yeah. And then the other thing is that next week during all call, we forgot to mention this, every branch and every committee should come prepared with updates that you guys have and goals for the next year, if that's a resolution you want to work on, something that you see on campus you want to work on, or just updates of what you've been talking about until now. I know it's pretty early in the quarter. And then after that, me and Ryan will have a Ask Us Anything Q&A. Can be literally just like anything personal if you want to get to know us better, any of our ideas for this next year, or like anything deeper than that. But just come prepared, please. Yeah.
And just to add to that, after the Q&A, we're gonna have like a list of projects that we're gonna assign to a bunch of committees, branches, just things that we wanna cover.
Thank you, Ryan. Any other roundtable remarks? This is crazy. Wait, are you raising your hand? No. Okay, that's okay. Well, I actually have one. Safe Walk is up and running again. Tell your friends. Give us a call. Yeah. That's nice. Any comment?
This isn't really a remark, but a question that like I just thought of. Are we gonna do the admin buddies again this year?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, was the consensus on that to wait until like the freshmen came, sort of?
Kind of, yes, but also we're working on getting the list of admin and trying to get a better structure for people that actually want to have an admin buddy, not just like actually meet and do stuff. So we'll keep you updated. And we will be assigning this year. It won't be you get to pick, which is different.
If you do have like a strong preference for someone that you feel like you have a good connection and relationship with, and someone you kind of think would benefit your projects throughout the year, let us know and we'll make sure that's something that's.
And we're assigning based on like positions and interests, so we're not just going like willy-nilly with it, but yeah. Anything else? Yeah, Matthew.
The Senate page was like wiped clean for the new Senate, so everything from last Senate is now off of it, but that doesn't mean it's gone. It doesn't mean all the work is gone. If you go to like asgsu.org, but you put /Senate Archive 2324, that has everything that was done last year. I talked to Claire about that. That was to make sure that, you know, the work that's being done this year is being highlighted correctly, but that we're still preserving what's being done. And actually, in like 2 weeks, the whole Senate page will be redone with a whole new design, so it will look completely different than it does now. But don't think that the work is gone. It's still there, and it's accessible to you guys.
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion from Tara, second from Kurt. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. We are adjourned. It is 8:59.
Oh my God.